Introducing Jim and Danielle Kempf. Jim and Danielle help us quite a bit with listing consultations and CMAs here at the office, and anybody is always welcome to join them. I'll give you dates later on in the meeting here. So when you two walked into real estate, and Danielle, we'll start with you. When you walked through the doors, what was the first thing you learned when you got your license? What was the first thing you learned, and something that you still follow today?
Question. One of the first things I learned was he had me read a book, Miracle Morning, and I don't know if you got it from the office or not, but it is a fantastic book, and it just says you guys show up for yourself first every day. So every morning you show up, you do a little bit for yourself, and you go to work, and it's that ripple effect that you show up for yourself first, you can show up for your business, for your clients, and it makes it easier throughout the day. And I do still follow that. Like, I do my morning yoga every morning. But really, what I'm learning now is you just got to get back to the basics with it. You got to make the phone calls, do the open houses, door knock, the business prospecting, and you can get carried away with the business really easily. But just back to the basics and showing up.
Good for you. Jim, how would you answer that question?
You're testing my memory here, Lori.
I know.
One of the first things I think that I just remember was something Norm said, really, was that listings are the name of the game in this business. And I've tried to stick to that ever since. And I enjoy working on listings more so than working with buyers. Of course, you have to do both in the business, but I think that's really kind of the name of the game. And that's just something that's always stuck with me.
Well, that's good. I agree with you, because that's where it all begins anyways. And if you've got listings, your phone is going to ring. And let buyer's agents sell it for you. When you have listings, you have inventory, and inventory is something that we all need to succeed, really, because that is the name of the game. I completely agree with you. Do each of you have a schedule that you follow during the day?
No.
Try. But honestly, I've never been good at that. And I mean, I try to, but it's so hard for me to do that. And, it's just, that's always a work in progress for me, just honestly.
Do you think it's something that would be important for you to organize your business?
I think if I'm giving advice to people, I mean, everybody, you do your time blocking, make sure you're doing stuff at certain times of day. I've always struggled with really trying to do that on a regular basis. It's not that we don't try doing it, but that's just something that I have to try to work at all the time.
Okay. Danielle, do you think it's important to do business generation activities?
Absolutely. What question is that?
What kind of, just asking, what kind of business generation activities do you two focus on?
So like Jim said, we focus a lot on listings, or at least we try to, and that gets us to really big business generating activities that we do, and that's our door knocking, which we want to get better at this year, and our open houses. So for our new listings, we go door knock around the neighbors. We just kind of invite them to the open house. Not that they're going to be moving, but they might know someone, a friend or a coworker, just looking to move into the neighborhood, and it gets them on our team with that too. They show up to the open houses, which just looks good for us, having a lot more people in the door for the open houses. And then open houses, it's maybe a little harder today, but you have the opportunities to get other listings or meet buyers, and those are our two big ones. And past clients too, we follow up with them.
Yeah, and a lot of what I think a lot of what I've been doing is more networking over the last, let's just call it, say, 5 years or so. And that really revolves a lot around my BNI group. But that has really helped our business quite a bit as well. So if I think back to when I first got in the business, more networking with other business professionals would be something I would recommend newer people do, because that can really help grow your business immensely.
That's great. That's great advice. I highly recommend that myself. I think networking, joining an organization that you're passionate about, not because you want business, but something you're passionate about, in return will bring you some business. So question for you guys, talking about listings, what does your preparation for a listing consultation look like before you actually go to the seller's house? And do you have a process that you follow each time?
Yeah, so, and I kind of, I guess I teach this in the class, but the first thing is really a good pre-listing interview. right, with someone. I think that's important. We have just a kind of a form that we've used, or I've used. It's in the Ninja book, really, and I try to use that a lot. I don't maybe fill that form out necessarily. I just kind of, I kind of know the questions I want to ask now from doing it a long time, but taking good notes, talking to the people, finding out what their motivation is, and then kind of trying to find out what's important to them as well. In terms of like what they're looking for in an agent, I think is important. And then our preparation from there really starts with, we deliver a pre-listing packet to our potential clients there. We try to do that a day or 2 or 3 before we actually have our meeting with them. And we'll have a little introduction letter that we include with that, and a kind of a bio sheet that Danielle created that has links to our reviews and our website and those types of things. And then really, it's really trying to do as much homework as we can around that house and try to get a good feel for, what the market's doing in that area.
If there's an old listing, we obviously try and look at the old listing, try and get a better feel for what the house looks like rather than just going in blind. But you can't always do that depending on when it last sold.
Yeah, we try to get out and preview beforehand as well, just so we know what the competition is, just so you can speak more as an expert, right, in that area. And then we pretty much try to follow. We use the Moxi presentation quite heavily, and we don't use the whole thing necessarily, but we have a set
highlight pages,
set number of pages that we have in a little binder that we created that we go through and kind of talk people through the process of, at some point in a listing, to me, I feel like I got to earn my commission, right? And so I try to make it simple, but really go into detail on every step that we're going to take to get their house sold, and try to explain it so they understand.
That's great. That's great advice. So in your pre-listing packet, I know you said you add a letter, links to your sites and reviews. What else do you put in that pre-listing packet?
Honestly, it's just the Moxi presentation.
Okay.
It's in color. It looks great. We put it in one of those clear plastic binders, and then we put our letter and our bio sheet in there, and we tell them when we're talking to them, yeah, it's like, well, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, either myself or my partner is going to drop it off on, either tomorrow, later this afternoon or tomorrow, so that you have a chance to review it before we come out and see it. And nobody ever looks at it, but it's
the added step of going to their house again and dropping something at their door.
Yeah, and I think it looks good. I don't think a lot of other people do that, so I think it's something that sets us a little bit apart there. And then when we sit down with them, we kind of lead with a question like, well, you've had a chance to look at our marketing packet. Do you have any questions? And they all say, they kind of look at each other and laugh, and they say, well, we really didn't look at it. And we just kind of laugh it off, say, hey, that's great, no problem. We're going to talk about it anyway. And then we go into our little spiel.
That's good. I mean, that Moxi Present is pretty powerful. It's pretty impressive when you get it printed out and give that to them, because you can do it either PDF and you can do it web version as well. Which do you choose? Well, obviously you probably do the PDF to drop it off.
Yeah, we do the PDF because we drop it off to them. And then we use the CMA pretty extensively while we're when we're at the house, especially when we start talking about pricing, right? So we can kind of show them what the competition is and what other homes have sold for. And actually, you can
look at pictures.
Yeah, you can show them that by the pictures, kind of how the house is compared, our pros and cons to them, and then that kind of drills us down into a more accurate price for the house.
Well, that's fantastic. I think that's great advice. That Moxi Present is actually pretty great. I do want to let everyone know that we had to make a few changes to the April training this month, but Jim is going to be doing his listing consultation on the 16th of April, right after the 15 minutes with Lori. So probably about 9:15 to 9:30, kind of depending on how long it goes. And then Danielle will be doing her listing consultation, her listing CMA on the 17th at 1 o'clock. So feel free to join Jim on the 16th at 9:15 and Danielle on the 17th at 1 o'clock. So, and I'll have that in my scoop as well. Does anybody else have any questions for Jim and Danielle? Wow, I think you guys did a great job. Bill, is there anything you'd like to ask?
No, I'm good today.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Bill?
I know. I think listings is the name of the game. And last month when that SLAR said they were up 15% year over year. So there's more listings coming on board, so there's more opportunities. Interest rates stable, so I think it's a great opportunity where some people are going to have to move. So get out there.
Yeah. Two more things for Jim and Danielle. How many listings have you taken in like the last 2 weeks?
I think right now we've got like 7 that we're either have active or are in the process of coming online between now and the end of the month. 7 or 8.
Give everyone an idea of kind of where those listings came from and how you obtained them.
Well, Big Bend Station was a referral.
West Swan was an office lead.
Yeah.
So it pays to be in the office.
Yeah, a couple of them are like that. There's at least 2 of those were because we were here. One was an office call, and we were the first ones here, I think. Ruth Wood was that's a forever client that I've known since I very first got in the business. And then we have one active that's been kind of sitting for a while. And then we have one in Afton coming that was a great client of ours who bought several houses back right around COVID, and now she's getting ready to sell them. So a lot of it's just a little bit of everything. But being here, I know a lot of people don't like working in the office, but there's benefits, and to me, it kind of it's your place to work, and then you go home, you don't have to work necessarily, right?
Yeah. Well, this is real estate, but just saying.
You work 24/7, but
yeah. One last thing. If there's one thing you can share with everybody today to get started on, what would that be?
For me, there's a lot of different ways to do this business. Stacy does the TikToks, we do our podcast, and we door knock. Jan door knocks a lot. So there's a lot of different ways to do the business. You just got to find what works for you, what you enjoy. If it's networking or whatever, you just got to find that and really hone in on that.
And I would just say show up. Honestly, show up and put the time in. It's just, what I mean? I think a lot of people think you have too much flexibility, and I think that gets a lot of people in trouble.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us this morning. I really appreciate it. Everyone, if you have any further questions, reach out or visit 15minuteswithlori.com, where there's videos from other past classes if you were Zooms that you may not have been able to attend. So again, 15minuteswithlori.com. Jim and Danielle, thank you. And we'll see you at the training, everybody. Talk to you later.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.